in the Twin Cities area or in Minnesota?
Well, I'm originally from St. Paul.
Okay.
And, of course, I moved to Minneapolis. And, I've lived in other states before, 3 other states, but always come back to Minneapolis.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Could you tell me first a little bit about like where specifically you grew up and about like some of the places and spaces that you kind of,
I grew up in St. Paul. I graduated from St. Paul Central. And then shortly after high school, I got married pretty young, moved to Minneapolis, and pretty much, like I said, I've moved to other places, but I always ended up coming back to Minneapolis because it's really easy to live here.
Yeah.
And there's so much, the demographics have changed so much, especially for African Americans. And in the last few years, it's just been like this art explosion, and even though I'm 72, so I've been doing art for a really long time, but I would say in the last 10 years, I have just seen this explosion of artists and art opportunities, and it's just a really good time to be an artist in Minneapolis, and been doing it for a long time, and plan on doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you talk a little bit about like specifically like going back to your way back to the
way back in the day
to the St. Paul Central days?
Yeah.
Was there anywhere, it doesn't have to be here now, right? Anywhere that you would frequent?
Oxford Playground.
Okay.
I don't know if you're familiar with that.
No, if you could give me like the coordinates.
Hallie Q. Brown.
Oh, Hallie Q. Brown.
Yeah.
Yes,
I went to Marshall Junior High. So I would say Oxford Playground and the Oberboys Club and Hallie Q. Brown were pretty much the hangouts, and I grew up in the Selby-Dell area, and boy, that's changed, and I'm a Rondo baby. We lived like 4 blocks off of Rondo, and we were one of those displaced, tenants from that neighborhood when the freeway came through. So we ended up moving a little ways from Rondo, but we were pretty much always in the proximity of the Selby-Dell area. So, yeah.
Could you talk a little bit about the culture during that time?
I was really young, but it was really amazing because Rondo Street, which is, I think, turned into Concordia Street after they, went through there with the freeway. There were so many black businesses that, a lot of people don't know about it, but I was there. I grew up there. There were barbershops, there were little grocery stores, there were tailors. There were a lot of businesses, and it was just really an exciting and a fun time, and a lot of business, a lot of entrepreneurship that people don't even know about still. All of that is just kind of coming out in the last few years. So it was actually an exciting time, but it was unfortunate that with the freeway coming through and displacing all those people. But it was a really enterprising time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you said that you've left Minnesota and you've come back
3 times.
3 times.
Yeah.
What keeps you coming back?
I don't think because you necessarily go to a bigger city, it's going to necessarily be better. Sometimes, yeah, there might be more opportunities because it is better, but it doesn't always mean it's going to be a positive experience for you, And I always came back, and the last time I came back, I'm really glad that I came back because I was 42, and that's when things started to really fall into place for me as far as the public arts scene, because I really didn't start doing public art until, I was in my 40s. And the opportunities, even though the opportunities at that time weren't a whole lot, but we didn't see what was coming down the pipeline, and because what I got involved with, working with Setu Jones and Takuma Aiken, I think at that time for me was a really good time that things were coming down the pipeline that I just didn't see. So I'm so glad I came back because over the past few years, I've been busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been busy doing art, and I don't know if you're familiar with the Purple Raindrop.
No, could
Oh,
you
well,
tell
you
me
guys
about
are
that?
going to have to go over there. Okay, so
Where is it? Could you talk
It's
about
at
where
it's at Farview Park.
Okay.
And it's right on the corner, and it's a little over 15 feet high. It's a purple sculpture. It's a purple raindrop in honor of Prince. So that's a piece of my work. Busy with that the last couple
Could
of
you
years.
talk about, like, you know, what does it mean to you to, like, have your work be in these very public spaces, and if there's anywhere else that your work is at, like, can you talk about
Yeah,
that?
I have quite a few pieces around town.
Okay.
Quite a few. Well, it feels good. It feels good that I get to do work and put it in the community because it gives me a voice, you know. But my voice usually speaks for other voices in the community. So yes, it's a good feeling, and it makes me feel that I am a part of the community. The community is part of me. We work together, you know. I just don't go out there and put stuff out there that I want. I want to speak for our neighborhoods, you know. So yeah, it's awesome.
So you have a piece at the George Floyd Square.
I have a piece at the George Floyd Square. I also have a piece at, are you familiar with the Lee family story? At
No.
4600 Columbus. So the Lee family, Arthur and Edith Lee, back in the early 1900s, were the first black family to move in the Kingsfield neighborhood.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Kingsfield.
Yeah.
So they were the first black family to move at 4600 Columbus Avenue South. And because they were the first black family, when they purchased that home, I think just within a matter of a few weeks, there were over 2,000 people, white people, that came to make them leave. They wanted to lynch them, so there's that whole story about that. So I have a monument there for them that I worked with another artist. So we, you know, a co-artist that we worked, me and Loretta Day. So I have a piece there. I have a few pieces along Chicago Avenue.
Are there any other places for you that you would maybe want your work to be in, or that are
Well,
like?
the Martin Luther King Playground
Okay.
on Nicollet Avenue,
Okay.
South Minneapolis. I was a concept artist on that piece. So when you go in there and you start reading the signs, you'll see my name on there, but I like to let people know that my focus and my connection to Martin Luther King Park is the children's playground and the little train that's there for the kids, because that was based off of Elijah McCoy. And Elijah McCoy was an African American inventor who actually reinvented something called a lubricating tube. And a lubricating tube is a piece of machinery that goes over the wheels on those old steam trains. And what he did was he just improved that. They had them before, but he made an improvement on it. So when the oil dripped on through that tube onto the wheels, that's what kept the wheels going, because those old steam trains, they would go and then they would stop. They would go because no one could figure it out. Well, he figured it out. If he could find a way to keep that oil, those wheels lubricated, the train would keep going.